up in the rat race of America, as we say, is like, I always thought I wanted to make millions of dollars, have a giant house, all the toys, the boats, all that stuff. And then realizing that to achieve that dream, it's possible, but it takes a lot more work. And I think here, even though I was saying it earlier when I was sitting outside the market, but even though the city is so intense and so loud, Vietnam is very, very loud. I think I'm loud, but Vietnam is louder. I always say Vietnam is the loudest country I've ever lived in, and busy. But at the same time, you'll see Vietnamese people just sitting in their flip-flops outside a coffee shop, chilling. In the north, they smoke the True Clow, just hanging out. And I got told a lot when I moved to Asia, Chad, relax, Chad, relax. I don't hear that as much when I'm in Vietnam, but I still see it. Like, sometimes when I'm pushing really hard, I see everyone being like, oh, you're getting too worked up, like calm down. I'm like, you know what, you're right. Nothing's that. Like, don't need to take it so extremely serious. And I think it's taught me to take life a little, not less seriously, but just appreciate the chaos by relaxing sometimes. Yeah, my name's Chad. I am the owner of Mixtape Beverage company here in Vietnam. I originally came here as a tourist, and the first time I came here, I didn't like Vietnam, true story. I lived in Taiwan at first, and I traveled a lot in the surrounding region, and I was just overwhelmed, honestly. I was used to a little bit more, the demure, sawadee kap, and then Vietnam's like, bam, whoa, you wake up. And I left the first time as a tourist saying, I don't know if I'll go back to Vietnam. But about 7 years ago, I came here to take another craft beer company here to Vietnam. And like all good things that are really great, it grew on me and I love it more and more every year. So yeah, I came here to do all that and I'm still here, and every year I like it more. Every year I'm like, oh, maybe I'll move somewhere else. But nah, every year I'm like, I find more stuff to do here, more energy, more excitement. I rent a 2-bedroom house, live in an older apartment in a great neighborhood for about $500 a month, $600, somewhere in there. That's cheap. There's very few places in the world you can find that cheap. That's $13.5 million. Here you can live on $1,000 a month, $2,000 a month if you're frugal. The United States, that gets you a week. Well, number one thing is check the laws, check your visas, check your, how long you can live here, how you get money in. All those things are, it's regulated, so make sure you abide. And I'm no lawyer, but I've tried to do it the right way. I would say make sure you have some good savings because, you always want a little buffer just in case something happens, you have a medical emergency. But however, I'd say it's much, 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 much cheaper to live here. But you still gotta prep for that, So, and then besides that, the reality is that even if you love the local food like I do, everyone kind of wants, no matter where you take yourself, there you are. So if you want to eat pizza and you want to eat, tacos and burgers, that's gonna start catching up. It's still a little bit cheaper here. There's less taxes on the food. There's less service fees. Like the United States expect to tip. Should still tip occasionally here, but it's not that 30%. So overall, I'd say, food is maybe about 30%, 20% as much here. Even if you eat Western food, maybe 40, 50% as much. But still be prepared. Welcome to Saigon City Cribs. Yeah, this apartment is a little bit older. I love it. A lot of my own furniture, but the rent is super cheap. Like about, I said, $500-$600, including service fees. Electricity is usually, even though I run my AC a lot because I think it'd be cooler in the house, usually around, I don't know, $100 a month maybe for all 3 bedrooms, 2 baths. Yeah, it's a good deal. And then it's good. I have water. Cheap water is I don't know, $10 a month. Internet's good speeds. I have really high speed internet because I like to video game a bit, because I'm a nerd. And yeah, it's welcome to my abode. It's quite comfortable. This is my oasis away from all the other madness of the hustle bustle. Yeah, this is I also have it's very clean because I'm such a good cleaner. That's a lie. I actually have a house cleaner who comes 3 days a week. She cleans from top to bottom, makes sure my clothes are folded, my laundry's done, ironing. This is the one flex I'd say in Saigon is I don't have a lot of time, so I don't really want to waste time cleaning my house. So for $100 and something a month, she comes 3 days a week, and she's awesome. She's almost like family. She's worked with me a bunch of years, and she's awesome. And makes my mom very jealous in America. Sorry, Mom. She really would love to have that, but when I go home, Mom cooks and cleans. Yeah, we have a spare room here, so kind of more storage and all my stuff for travel and making new drinks. A little kitchen, a little simple. I do like to cook, so I do cook a lot. Yes, convenient. I have a lot of the regular ingredients as well as Vietnamese ingredients in the house. I'm always whipping up something. I try to eat pretty healthy through the week. And then my bedroom, master bedroom with my bath, my desk here. My chair broke yesterday. Ignore that. I got a little homage to California up there, Stern Grove Festival. Yeah, and my crazy collection of hats. Anything else you want to see? Don't know what to show you, but basically, I mean, obviously, like this is the throne here. It's food and TV, because when I'm done working, this is what I want to do: get on the couch, put on my headphones, play some friends online. Nerd. It's a great view too. By the way, too, like there's like if you look down, there's a lady going across the river. Actually, District 7 is awesome because it's got big sidewalks. It's got a sports stadium there for the Saigon Heat, really cool basketball team. A bit noisy at night, but I'm cool with that. I'm up late. Yeah, it's a little oasis in the city. So welcome to Mixtape. So one of the most amazing things about being in Vietnam is the ability to start business. I think that was really what drew me here more than anything else. I was starting another business over here, and then over time, I started my own. And so that's this. This is our bar. It's a craft beer bar, so it's not like your normal kind of bar. It's more about hanging out, socializing, drinking, but not too much. Drinking other things, not just alcohol. So we're working on a lot of different things. It all started with one beer named Peaches and Cream IPA. Brewed it here in Vietnam. And then that's kind of the short story. It's been a lot longer than that. We have a bar here in D1, but it's really kind of a place where people can hang out. It's a bit early at the moment. It's 10 a.m., so not everyone comes to drink beer at 10 a.m. If you do, that's fine. You get some tourists in. So yeah, the downstairs is more like the cafe feel vibe, and upstairs we have like the more traditional bar. Come with me. If our beer's on tap, always cold, always fresh. Craft beer is supposed to be enjoyed fresh, natural, and exciting, never boring. So you can probably tell by now, if you haven't, that my favorite color is pink. Pink, I think it's a very awesome color. It's fire like red, but with a little bit of alternative edge. So we have this bar up here. It's not active right now. Not always active, but no one's here. It's more loungy area. We have DJs come and play. A lot of good local Vietnamese DJs, French DJs around the world. And this street, Dong Thi New, is actually known for fashion and designers. So there's a lot of designer clothes, nail shops. It's a little messy up here. But yeah, that's the bar. It's a great place to people watch. You sit out here and just watch time go by. We're not on a busy street, but actually right around the corner is the Binh Tan Market, where the Binh Tan Market is like one of the most famous tourist attractions in Saigon. One of the most challenging things when I moved to Asia, when I started doing business in Asia, was trying to find warehousing. It's not like you just go in the yellow pages and be like, where's the warehouses? It's not that simple. It's usually like somebody who has a farm, his buddy has a warehouse, and on top of it, we do craft beer, which means we keep it cold at refrigerated temperatures. So we need places that can do refrigeration. So we built our own. You can tell we still have some cool elements like video games, and we're gonna put that in our tap room. We're also getting ready for Saigon Beer Fest, so we have our draft equipment. We're also getting ready to launch our non-alcoholic line of products. So we have our party, which is like a tipsy tea. We're gonna make the non-alcoholic Party Naked coming soon. But here's our big cold room. So we used to import a lot of American brands as well and European brands. And we also distributed other local Vietnamese brands, some great local stuff around here. Here's our cold room. It's a little empty because we've been actually selling a lot of beer lately. So it's moving quickly. We actually have a bunch of beer coming in a couple hours too. So we do everything in draft, stainless steel kegs, and then we do everything in cans because we like to keep it cold and the quality. People used to think that cans were cheap, but actually cans are better for craft. It keeps it fresher, keeps it longer, and it's basically a mini keg. It's less dangerous to the head too. Nice. I come in here on hot, sunny days. I like the heat. I love Asian heat. I love Vietnamese heat. I like to be in the sun. Sometimes you gotta cool down. This is our warehouse because we're expanding. This will be bigger next year. All our empty kegs that we refill, send to the brewery, be them cleaned. We don't brew the beer here. We brew at another location. And then all of our marketing and equipment and yada, yada. All of this is much more affordable in Vietnam than it is in the US. You can get custom-made racks for cheap. You can have someone label your cans for cheaper. You can have all kinds of cool stuff. I'll show you the office upstairs. It's simple, it's rustic, it's startup. This was kind of falling down when we rented it. It was kind of messed up. We painted and cleaned it up. All my notes on my terribly handwritten notes on stuff to get done, but yeah, this is our home. As for any startup entrepreneur, every surface is a work surface. So, but I'm gonna say work less, have more fun. True story, and again, I'll try to keep this short. It's a long story. I had never traveled outside of the U.S. until I'd never really traveled. I was one of those people who grew up in Silicon Valley. Actually, I was born in San Jose, which is actually what sometimes they call Little Saigon. It's so many Vietnamese. So I was pretty used to Vietnamese food, a little bit of that, but I never traveled, had no interest. I thought we had everything in California, snowboarding, surfing, tech, mountains, whatever. And then I went to Thailand actually the first time, and it blew my mind, and it changed my life. And I said, okay, I'm gonna move back. I worked in IT at the time, and I made good money, had a good life. But I really saw that the rest of the world wasn't what most Americans think it is, which is frightening, crazy, adventure. There's a lot of adventure, but I think there's this general ignorance in the US, and I don't say that insultingly, because I was one of those people where you're kind of afraid of what's out there. And then when you go out there, you're like, oh, these are people just like me, but also living great lives and lots of great stuff. There is a lot of scary stuff in the news, but a lot of it's in the US, a lot of it's in Europe. You can go outside of that, and there's a lot of cool stuff. So yeah, my blinders were off. I did a tour of Southeast Asia, fell in love with it, moved to Taiwan for a couple of years, and then moved back to try to see if I could actually go back to America. Didn't work. So I was there for a few years, and then when I had a daughter, and she was 1 year old, and I was looking around saying, do we stay here, to stay in your family, or do I show her a little bit of a life less ordinary? I didn't want her to grow up with the typical mentality that I had. I wanted her to see there's more. And I kind of had that moment of I have a great job, my life's pretty good. And then I said, I look at what I could afford and how my life I could enjoy and how much time I could get with my daughter. And I realized it was very little. And I remembered how well I had it when I was working part-time in Taiwan. I said, that's it, we're gonna move back. So first we traveled around the world for a year. We spent my daughter's second birthday at Euro Disney, crazy adventures, Europe, blah, blah. Knowing we wanted to settle in Southeast Asia, Thailand, preferably. Moved to Thailand, lived on the island of Phuket for a while, started a beer company there, moved to Bangkok, and then to Vietnam. And again, I didn't think Vietnam was gonna be the place I wanted to settle, but I've now lived here as of, I think, June. I'll have been here longer than I have been anywhere else, and I continue to love it. When I first came to Vietnam, to be honest, the first time, I'd been living in Taiwan, and I came to Vietnam, and I was so excited as a tourist to explore it. After having lived and traveled around a lot of Southeast Asian countries, and it was so different. At first, I didn't like it. I started in Hanoi, I thought, whoa, this energy is too much. But then, as I traveled through, and then came back years later to set up my business, I was loving it more and more. I think one of the cool things about Vietnam is that I don't know, the energy is always present. I mean, all of Southeast Asia has a lot of energy, but Vietnam is extreme energy. I have a lot of energy, so I totally vibe with it. But it takes a bit of getting used to. But I love, right here, all these different foods and substances. When I make drinks or I make food, I like to think about all the different flavors present and all the different wide array of things that might be missed in other countries. But yeah, I see Vietnam is that country where it's you start off maybe not liking it, and then it grows on you over time. I think that's the most beautiful thing about it, is that it's unlike where I lived in Thailand, and I still love Thailand, but it's cute. It's a cute little coconut. It's a little mini coconut candy. Thailand, you fall in love with it right away. It's that beautiful princess, and you're oh, she's so beautiful, and you get to know her, and you realize the reality that not everything's perfect. And that's still much love for Thailand, but Vietnam's the one where it's your best friend, the girl next door. She's cool, she's got high energy, she's fun, but it kind of takes a minute to realize just how great it is, and it takes more than just a minute, it takes over time. So I've lived here about 6+ years, and I have, every day, I feel like I like it more. I find new things. Like right now, doing this adventure, like walking through this market. I've walked through these markets a million times, but then I see something new, like that little coconut, or I see some kind of fish that I haven't seen before. And it's that endless sense of adventure that exists that really makes me love just living in this part of the world, but especially Vietnam, because a lot of the other parts of the world are getting more gentrified, more homogenized. But Vietnam is still alive, vibrant, chaotic, energetic. It's everything. And the people. The people are some of the most straightforward and real people you'll ever meet in your life. Oh, guava, nice.
Guava nhưng mà hấp spicy.
Spicy. How's the pomelo?
How many gram?
Just maybe, can I do like a little bit of...
100 gram, 35.
Do 50 gram?
50
half,
gram.
yeah, half good. 50 gram, yeah.
50 gram.
Because I want to get 50 gram of the passion fruit too.
Passion
The
fruit.
chan dasa.
50 gram luôn.
Yeah, 50,
One
yeah,
more 50
yeah.
gram. 8,000.
Okay. Cảm ơn chị.
Cảm ơn em.
Thank you.
Bye bye.
Bye bye. Now, play with this in the food, but also play with it in drinks. That's the key. I have a very weird schedule. Because like I'm not working a normal job. Starting a business and entrepreneurship's a bit weird. But I usually try to start the day off, get up, get on my laptop, take care of the essentials, send out some emails, all that stuff. Then I like to exercise. I'm really big into exercise. Working in alcohol and working in drinks and food, I get the opportunity to eat a lot of good food, and I love food. So I got to work out a lot. So I usually go for a run. Where I live in District 7, it's got beautiful sidewalks, and the air is a bit cleaner, and it's bright, warm out. And after I finish that, I go to my office in District 7, get the team rolling on new things, new marketing, new fun stuff. And then head to the main part of Saigon, the bigger part, like D1, D2, D3, D4, and basically go out and go to restaurants and bars and socialize. That's basically my job. Most important things about wherever you live is like find the things that make you happy, and like for me, like being near water is one of them. So for Saigon, there's water everywhere, right near the ocean, right near the rivers, just always there. And there's been more and more of a push lately to kind of like beautify the riverfronts, reclaim them, make nice walking ways. And it's awesome, especially here in District 7. I'm a huge fan. Just clean, it's beautiful, it's a great place to live. I think this is one of the biggest ones that was actually hard for me to adjust to. When I first started traveling, I grew up in a family that's very, in a good way, we were very like prepared, aware, observant, typical American, gun owners, have a knife on you at all times. You don't know what's going to go on. And then you come to Asia and you're really like always watching everything. I remember I used to put like special like little locks on my doors and stuff to make sure that if someone broke in, I'd be ready. And that never came, And I think that fear is much, much, much less. Now, there is danger here, as there is anywhere. There's crime, sure. But there is definitely less violent crime in Asia in general, especially Vietnam and Taiwan, Thailand, much, much less. I've gotten my stuff robbed. I've had some altercations, but nothing serious, and even in the United States, I didn't either. But statistically, you're generally safer here. Now, you might feel less safe when you cross the street or drive on a bike, but in general, I'd say, in fact, sometimes I get kind of, actually that's another thing that's changed. When I go back to the States now, I kind of forget to lock my doors in my car, and I just kind of float through. People are like, aren't you watching out, dude? Why don't you gotta look out for, maybe there's some danger. And I'm like, I just forget to look sometimes. There's always a lot of walking in Saigon, especially. At least the sidewalks are pretty walkable. Just have to watch out for motorcycles. I wore an ao dai once. It was for my friend's wedding. It was a really awesome experience. My friend was supposed to be in the wedding, but he got COVID, so they put me in, and luckily we're similar size. And I was very, very tired and hungover, but it was an amazing experience and had a good time. I want to buy one someday again for my own. Two things. One is, I travel, especially back then, when I travel, was always synonymous with food. I didn't care about seeing the temples. I didn't care about seeing the architecture. That kind of stuff's like on the way to more food. Wherever you can find, what's the local food? Once I got over my fear of night markets and stuff like that, I was in. But when I came to Vietnam, compared to like Thailand, say, or even Laos, or Cambodia, or Taiwan. The energy was so much more intense, and also I think there's a very different culture here in the food. There was bread. That's not that common in the other parts of Asia, and all the the French influences or whatever. But when I came to Vietnam, I landed in Hanoi, expecting to like fall in love with it. But it was so. I like chaos. I like energy. But back then, especially, this is like 15 years ago, a little bit longer. Just crossing the street was a life-ending experience, and I just was a little bit overwhelmed. And also Vietnamese, I found. Even having Vietnamese friends back in America, I had a little bit of familiarity. I didn't realize it was kind of like, I would say it's like California and New York. California is, we're friendly, we're like, hello, how are you? Good customer service. And New York's like, yeah, what do you want? Grab a slice of pizza, And I feel there's a little like that in New York. There's this kind of directness, which really threw me off my guard after traveling in Asia for so long. And, even now, sometimes I'll come into my office and my team will be like, wow, you look really tired today. Wow, you look like you're overweight. You eating too much? It's like, it almost seems rude, but it's not rude. It's just direct, and it's uncommonly direct for this part of the world. And I think it's something I've learned to embrace because I find it more honest, and I think it still gets me by surprise sometimes when I get the blunt truth, But I think it's also you're more real. I lived in Thailand for almost as long as Vietnam, but I love Thai people. I love Thailand, but there's that same thing like California where it's like almost like customer service where. Being friendly because it's the culture, and that's great. But trying to make really good friends in Thailand took longer. I still have some really good friends in Thailand, but it takes more energy and more time. In Vietnam, when you get to know someone and they tell you, hey, you're like a brother or you're like my sister, they mean it, and it's direct and it's real, and yeah, you're like almost like family then, and I like that, So I have a lot of really good Vietnamese friends here who I feel like are like brothers and sisters, and that's different. Now I feel truly Vietnamese. Sit down, relax, have a coffee, watch all the chaos before I jump back in. It's actually much more safe and the driving's more natural now. They put a lot of new laws in. Helmets on everybody, people obeying the law, not driving on the sidewalk as much. It still happens, but not as much. Kind of miss it. I miss dodging scooters while walking down the sidewalk. So when I first moved to Asia, digital nomad, then I started a business along with some other guys or joined a business there in Thailand doing import craft beer, which is amazing. Travel and drink beer, what a life. And then I moved to Vietnam and decided to step away from that and start my own Mixtape. And my income now is zero. As every entrepreneur will tell you, you go for a long time on very little. But that's one of the other beautiful things about Vietnam. You can eat cheaply. A banh mi is maybe $1 or $2. You can get a pho for $3, and you're full, and it's good food. You got herbs, you got energy. So yeah, obviously you invest in business to someday make money, and that's great. But also a big part of it is that I like to, I have a bar, I have a company that also distributes, and I like to provide jobs. So for me, it's like, yeah, let's all make money together, but let's grow together. So that's kind of what I'm focused on. So yeah, it's quite a big change though compared to when you first come to Asia and you're like, especially Vietnam, where you're like, have like a US style paycheck and you're like, oh, everything's so cheap, and you live like a king and flash the money around. And then that reality of like, okay, you can't live like that forever. It's cheap here, but it's still got to have money. And the hardest part is when you go home to the States or you go to Europe and then you realize, whoa, how much more expensive it is. And here you can live on $1,000 a month, $2,000 a month if you're frugal. The United States, that gets you a week. Well, number one thing, there's not a lot of ATMs actually. So be prepared. If you need cash, prepare. There is ATMs, but not like on every street corner. You might have to go a little bit. And one big change since I've lived here, just in the last 3 or 4 years, has been the, not disappearance, but the minimalization of cash. I rarely carry cash. In the beginning, I always had to have cash, and dongs are like 1,000 dong, 2,000 dong. It's 25,000 dong is about $1 US. And that can be a big stack of paper you have to carry in your wallet. And so sometimes you see people pay things, and it's like, oh, that's that much cash, and it's like $10. So that was hard at first, because I always had to remember to get cash, and it's like, oh no, how do I pay for, I don't have credit card, blah, blah, blah. But now it's a huge push to digitize all the money. So actually now it's, in some ways, almost even more convenient than the US. But you need to have money either in a local bank for the QR code, because a lot of people pay, maybe they won't take credit card or Apple Pay. but they will take the QR code. And that you need to make sure you have some sort of option to pay if you don't have cash. 100%. Yes. I think number one, even if you have a little, it goes a long way. And there's less pressure to, you know, have all the things we have back in the States too. And also, I think like one of the beautiful things about, especially Vietnam, is that there's an encouragement to try new things. I think a lot of people are entrepreneurs here naturally. People always have a side hustle. Even my team, I feel like they always have some coffee shop they own, or their mom's land in the north. You know, they always have something going on. And I think that kind of general spirit is fostered. And I think that for a foreigner, it's also, you know, if you're going to risk starting a business in the United States, for example, you're going to have to put out a lot upfront capital to get started. Here, it's much more minimal. And you can work with a local partner maybe and do something small and you can try ideas and see what works. So that's the best part. No, I'm definitely different. Like I like to say I don't change very much. Like personality-wise, I'm still weirdly me. I love music, I love art, I love food, I like all these things. But I feel I'm much more, even though I speak quickly, I speak more slowly. I really appreciate people's differences more than I did before. Like I grew up in California, I think the US, we think we're so multicultural. And there's some truth to that, but I think mostly it's like, I always say my favorite saying now is that the more I travel, the more I learn, the less I know. And I think that has been really the best thing, is that I've really come to appreciate everybody's differences and also appreciate my own weirdnesses and our own. For a while after I left the US, I was very anti the US for a while. Like, oh, look, Asia's so much better, or you know, Europe is so much better. But now I've come to the point where it's like, actually there's beauty in all of it. I think that's the biggest change. It's like, you know, like I'm okay that I will always be American. I like to joke that I'm Asian now. But the reality is that I always have that in me and I'll always be from there. But I don't really belong there either, and I think that's the biggest change. I don't feel like it's like I hate it. I don't feel like I love it. I feel like I just kind of appreciate all of it. That's the biggest one. One of the reasons I decided to move to Saigon, besides setting up our business, because even that old business I was going to just set it up and then go back to Thailand, was because I quickly found a group of foreigners that I really enjoyed. A lot of the people in Thailand at that time were, because Thailand's more developed, either were teachers or they were high up in business, like bankers and kind of, we call them like package people, come from the U.S. embassy, or they have a good job. It's harder to make a natural West Coast, San Francisco kind of community where people just hang out because you have shared interests. And when I started coming here, I was shocked how many people I met that I really enjoyed our common shared interests. Surprisingly, a lot of Americans, but also a lot of French people, Mexicans, Spanish people, Ukrainians, Russians. I have friends from every group, and Vietnamese, of course. As I mentioned earlier, Vietnamese are a little bit more easier to, there's a general curiosity here where they're like, oh, maybe because there's less foreigners coming, that there's more like, there's an interest in what we want to talk about, and I want to hear about them. So I actually have a pretty good community here, solid friends, and that's actually one of my favorite things about here is, even compared to Taiwan or Thailand or other places, I had good communities there, but here it felt more real and more raw, and I like that. Oof, a lot. I think it was just that, I remember, sometimes you get confused whether it's baht or dong or Taiwanese dollar, when it's like, you kind of learn like, okay, something's a dollar is a dollar. If it's 25 million dong or 25,000 dong, it just feels like monopoly money. So monopoly money, like you feel like you can just spend it. Like you don't think about it as real. Sometimes you're, oh, it's just this money. And like I said in the beginning, I made a bit more money. So I think I was just a bit more foolish with my money, not realizing that like I could save more money. I didn't need to throw away, and then just like not learning the local language and learning local numbers. That's always a difficult one, because then people will say, hey, I remember when I first moved to Vietnam, my staff, I came to work with a banh mi, and they were like, how much you pay for that? I go, 45, 50. Like, oh, why? You should pay 25. Which one, that person? Oh, man, that's not even good banh mi. I'm like, okay. Like, stop throwing money away, Chad. I'm like, okay, all right. So that's probably a good one. So, stop being, that's a small thing. I've done stupider things, but like just, I think that's one of just the general is kind of like, hey, follow the locals. You'll get the good stuff and it'll be better priced.
How about scam? Have you ever been scammed in Vietnam?
Yeah, many times.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, many times. Especially when I've been drinking or out with my friends, you know, going to the bars with my buddies, and then, you know, you get the bill and you're like, I just pay it. I don't think about it. And everyone's like, you didn't check the bill? And I'm like, no. And then it's like, oh my God, it was, you know, way more than I thought. And then that was a really, I'm like Vietnamese now. I get the receipt. I'm like, line by line by line. You charged me for 2 wet wipes? Go. But yeah, I mean, I've had some bigger things for sure. You know, I hired somebody once that really disappointed me and charged me a lot of money and then didn't do any work. And so it cost us thousands and thousands of dollars because I was too trusting. And so by the time I realized what was happening, I was like, got to stop it. And then there was the kind of like, well, you need to keep paying me and try to play some games. And it was painful, but you learn from that, you know? My dream is to have Mixtape be like an incredibly international beverage company, providing natural beverages to people. And with that, being able to travel more again. Like part of the reason I found my love of Vietnam was because of traveling. And so I want to, you know, keep exploring. I want a home base here, but I want to take it elsewhere. I do want to get to see my daughter more. So she grew up here from the time she was about 1, 2 until about 10 years old. And then right after COVID, her and her mom moved back to the US. So she hasn't been here in a few years. So I'd like to get more time with her. I want to bring her back more often. It's been good for her to actually be home, or not home. She actually was raised here in Thailand, but to be in the States, she got access to a really good school back home, and so that's really great. So I'm glad she's getting kind of to see both worlds. So it's good, but I miss her. So I really, really want to get more time with her. Do your research. I always think I research everything really deeply, and then I always find out the simplest things are things I overlooked. When I moved to Taiwan the first time, I researched everything, was so prepared. And then I somehow missed the fact that there's earthquakes there all the time, and I don't like earthquakes. So I was like, well, that's funny. But I'd say research, and then make sure you have a nice little saving just in case. Get international insurance. But mostly, like, don't be afraid too much. Like, there's always the fear of things is usually what keeps you where you're at. And I think maybe sometimes I'm too foolhardy or too much of a dreamer and just go for things. But I think don't be just go for it. Like, what do you got to lose? Like, I listened to this speech by Jim Carrey, and he was talking about his dad, who was an accountant, and he spent his whole life doing the safe thing. And he says his dad could have been a bigger, more famous, funnier actor than him, but he decided to do the safe thing of becoming an accountant, doing his job, following the rules. And then he got laid off and couldn't find a job in his late 50s and suffered a lot. So what do you got to lose? Anything can go bad anywhere, anytime. There's no such thing as security. It's all fake. It's all, you think, I have insurance, I have a job, I have money in the bank. So what? It can all go away tomorrow. So try new things, explore, go for it, jump off that ledge.
What do you want to tell them?
Same thing, go explore if you can, save money. I said earlier, I think Vietnamese are actually very, I don't have a hard time talking to y'all.
Yeah.
And I think Vietnamese are better at that too. They come up to me and they talk to me. They're not shy. They don't treat me like a foreign object. I'm a foreigner, but they're like, hey, what's up? How are you? Tell me where you're from. And I love that. There's a curiosity here that's just amazing. So keep that up,